what were Page and Gilmore doing on their 12 strings on these two classics? Stick around and watch this video and you'll find out. Hey everybody, Mark here from 8 Minute Axe. If you own a 12 string or you're thinking of getting one, this video is a must watch. I'm going to give you a few tips on how to get the most out of your 12 string and essentially show you how to take full advantage of the unique 12 string sound. Before we get started, if you're interested in winning a 12 string guitar, I give away a brand new Vangoa 12 string every month. Details on how to enter this month's contest are in the description below. Okay, so let's jump right into it. After focusing on the 12 string on this channel for the last 18 months, I found that there are a lot of misconceptions about the instrument. Let me quickly clear up some of the confusion. First of all, a 12 string guitar is not twice as hard to play as a 6 string. A 12 string is laid out in 6 sets of 2 strings. The bottom 4 strings are octaves, meaning that you have the same bottom 4 strings that a 6 string has, but each has a companion string that's the same note 1 octave higher. And the top 2 strings are just doubled. So rather than having a single B string and a single E string on top, you have 2 B strings and 2 E strings. They're in unison. Each string set is fret and picked simultaneously, so no, you don't have to navigate 12 separate strings. Now on the other side of things, I hear people say, oh, you play a 12 string just like you play a 6 string. Now I don't really agree with that either. Sure, you can play the 12 string like you play a 6 string, but if you approach it that way, you're missing out on a lot of what makes the 12 string great. We're going to get into how to properly approach the 12 string so that you maximize the full potential of the instrument in just a minute. But first, I briefly want to talk about tuning. Now there's a joke about 12 string guitars. How do you tune a 12 string guitar? No one knows. Now I own 5 12 string guitars. I've made over 60 12 string videos. I use capos and open tunings, and I have sweaty hands, which means I'm replacing strings all the time. So suffice it to say that I've spent a lot of time tuning a 12 string guitar. So here's tip number 1. Be patient when tuning. I recommend investing in a good quality tuner, either a Korg or a Boss or a Peterson, that's what I own, or something that has a good reputation for being accurate. I also use an app called Guitar Tuna. It has a 12 string mode, it's 100% free, and since most people always have their phones with them, you'll always have a tuner handy. Now I always use 2 tuners. For years I thought I was being overly neurotic until I found out that Tommy Emmanuel spends a lot of time tuning before each show, and he uses 2 and sometimes 3 tuners. So if Tommy does it, I think I can justify my behavior. You first want to tune the guitar from low to high and take your time. There are a lot of tuning pegs, and I can't tell you how many times I've popped a string because I was turning the wrong peg. Once you finish the highest string, you should go back and retune. And the reason I recommend this is because there's a lot of tension on a 12 string neck, and sometimes in tuning the higher strings, pulling them up to pitch, you're actually pulling the lower strings back out of tune. So that's what I do. I tune them from 6 to 1 or from 12 to 1, and then I go back and fine tune to make sure everything is in perfect pitch. Lastly, and most importantly on this, trust your ear. If when you're done tuning you strum a chord and something sounds amiss, something sounds a little dissonant or a bit funky, try to figure out what the problem is and go back and fix it, because nothing sounds worse than an out of tune 12 string guitar. Okay, tip number 2 is pick selection. I do want to mention here that finger picking or playing fingerstyle is a great way to bring out the unique characteristics of the 12. I'm going to be doing a separate video on how to Travis pick and how to play fingerstyle on the 12 string. I assume the majority of you use a pick though, and it's extremely important to pick each string set consistently and evenly. And for this, I recommend using a thin pick. I use a Dunlop 0.5 millimeters. I find that the lack of rigidity makes it easy to consistently strike both strings evenly. Now this works for me. Experiment and find what works for you, but it's really important to choose a pick that allows you to always strike the strings evenly, both of them. Tip number 3, make sure that you use good technique and form when fretting notes and chords. For many of us, as we get more comfortable with the guitar, we tend to slack off a little bit with our form, but a 12 string is not a forgiving instrument. It's really important that you fret the string sets as close to a 90-degree angle as possible, meaning as little angle as possible. You want to go with that old school form. And here's why. If your fingers are more angled, you're going to end up pushing the strings. You'll fret one of the two strings and you'll push the other one, and you'll either choke one of the two strings out, or more than likely you're going to push one of the two strings just a bit out of tune. Tons of people email me and ask me why every time they play 12-string guitar, it sounds out of tune. They say my guitar is in tune, but every time I start playing, it sounds out of tune. 90% of the time, it's due to a lack of form and technique. Like anything else, it takes some practice. Okay, so let's get to the fun stuff. Tip number 4 is focus on the octave strings, especially the 3rd, 4th, and 5th strings. This is the sweet spot and the reason the 12 string sounds so unique. Single notes sound better than chords, and single notes that incorporate the 3rd and 4th and 5th strings sound awesome. Think about how many classic 12 string riffs are written around this concept. Think about that. All 3rd and 4th string. Or 4th and 5th string. Or how about think about how different that would sound if it was on a 6th string. You can incorporate this in your playing immediately. The next time someone asks you to break out Brown Eyed Girl, instead of playing the same old cowboy chords, do some arpeggiating of the chords around the 3rd, 4th, and 5th strings. Do that and you will totally breathe new life into it. Before we get to tip number 5, I want to talk a little bit about string selection. I get more questions about what strings I use than anything else. I personally use extra light gauge, 80-20 phosphor bronze, and I either use D'Addario or Martins. I pretty much use them interchangeably, whatever's on sale. They both sound great and they both last a few months if you remember to wipe your guitar down after every playing session. If you're a beginner, I do recommend light or extra light gauge strings as they're easier on the fingers. If you're a more experienced player, let me know what strings you use. I'm always willing to experiment a little. Tip number 5 is use a capo or experiment with a capo. A 12-string sounds amazing capoed, especially higher up the neck. Make sure that you get a 12-string capo. This is really important. If you try using a 6-string capo, chances are some of the notes are going to get choked out because there's not enough tension, or it won't be long enough to cover the extended fretboard that most 12 strings have. I personally recommend the Kaiser 12-string capo. It has plenty of tension, plenty of padding, and the quick trigger allows you to change tunings quickly if you're playing live. It does take some practice putting it on without pulling the strings out of tune, so make sure that you get acclimated with your capo. Single note lines and chords both sound fantastic on a 12-string when it's capoed. Arguably the most famous song of all time uses a capo on the 7th fret. Now I know I'm poking the bear in doing this, but let me see if I can get away with playing a couple bars without Don Henley blocking me. I may have to say Don Henley, so the algorithm doesn't pick it up. Also, Tom Petty wrote an all-time classic tune that's just the same 3 chords over and over. What's at the heart of it though to make it sound unique? A capo 12-string. That's what really drives the song. Another tune that wasn't originally played on the 12-string, but I think sounds great on it and is also capoed is this one. Lindsey Buckingham should have used a 12. Okay, tip number 6 is try alternate tunings. This is where the magic of the 12-string really happens. A lot of people keep their 12 strings tuned down a half step or a whole step all the time. Tuning the guitar down not only makes it easier to play and preserves the life of the bridge and the neck, but also brings out a harmonic richness that you just can't get in standard tuning. big and full it sounds. And this is one of the inexpensive ones. This is one of the Vangoas that I'm giving away. Sounds great tuned down a whole step. Okay, I also love open G tuning from low to high. That's D, G, D, G, B, D. I'll put that on the screen too. I know I went through that quickly. It was a favorite of Jimmy Page's and Leo Kottke's, and it sounds amazing. You can really just mess around anywhere. Everything sounds cool on this. It's really hard to hit a bad note. Open G is also great for slide playing. You can play some slow blues on it too. If you're looking for some cool riffs to play on your 12-string, check out my video, 25 famous 12-string riffs. I'll put a link above. That's all I've got for now. If you have any questions or need clarification or help on any part of this video, don't hesitate to email me, markarenally@gmail.com. I do respond to 100% of all emails. It may take me a couple days, but I will always get back to you. Also, if you found any part of this video useful, please consider hitting the subscribe button and ringing the bell to get notified when I upload new videos. And of course, if you like the video, smash the like button and leave me a comment. Most importantly though, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.